Everybody, welcome to the Wee Jem Show. We're on here on Independence Live, and we've got a special guest in the studio today, and it's Pat Lee from Salvo. Hello, Pat. How are you?
Good evening, Jem, and thank you very much for the invitation to appear tonight. Looking forward to a good show.
Well, we had so many requests. They were like, "Oh, Pat Lee's like the guy, got to get him on here."
Oh, I'll not get out of this room with this head.
So, how's your week been, Pat?
It's been a pretty frantic. But I'm off the weekend, so I'm off until Tuesday. But it's been a very, very busy week, and a very exciting week too.
Yeah. So, where shall we start? Do you want to tell us about Salvo, or do you want to talk about Grangemouth?
We'll start at the beginning. The beginning is there's fantastic news come out of Europe this week, whereby Salvo have agreed a memorandum of understanding with let me get the name here with Justice pour tous International.
Je suis.
They are a human rights specialist group, and they're based in Geneva.
Yes.
So Scotland has been on the wrong narrative for over 100 years. It's been about home rule. It's been about self-determination. It's been about independence. And
that's the wrong angle.
It's absolutely the wrong angle. The Scottish Sovereignty Research Group in 2014 began investigating the Treaty of the Union.
Yeah.
And 8 years after they started, from their research and investigation, evolved Salvo.
Yeah.
And Salvo are the campaigning arm of Liberation.Scot.
I remember the day
Liberation Scotland.
I remember the day they started, and I was like, I'm joining. This is the best thing I've heard.
Well, the narrative has always been about going for independence and requesting permission.
Yeah.
The creation of a Scottish liberation movement does not require permission from anyone. We simply have to...
It was the UN that said that liberation movement should be started because the politicians can't do it. Is that correct?
I don't recall any word from the UN. What I do recall is that the Scottish Research Group, through their research, found that there's only two ways to approach the UN.
Yeah.
And one in my mind is an oppressed government, which can seek standing at the UN. Yeah. And the other is a liberation movement.
Yeah.
So we duly elected a fully constitutional committee.
Yeah, I remember that. That was last year that the vote went in, huh?
Yep, that was Liberation Scotland Committee. We duly confirmed and agreed a constitution as per UN requirements. And we have just this week or last week signed a memorandum of understanding with Justice pour tous International, who will, on our behalf, present the argument for to request the comprehensive argument for Scotland's recognition as a non-self-governing territory.
That is awesome, and it's so necessary, yeah.
I'm reading from some notes here, so excuse me if I'm not looking at the camera, because it's really big news.
It is huge.
The Yes movement have been looking for the last 10 years, since 2014, since the referendum, for political leadership.
Aye.
And I don't know if you'll agree with me, Jem, but
I agree with you.
Let me see what I have to say first before you agree. We use politics in Scotland as the stick to beat ourselves with. We are all in
Yeah.
the same. We're all in the same journey. We're just following different routes, but it leads to the same result.
We've kind
Now,
of been going around in circles because the truth is that we're actually trapped in this nightmare, and this is the path out, you know.
yeah. Now, I'm not going to talk about any single party.
No,
I think we need to stop tying our cause in with any single party. We have a number
totally
of parties now.
non-political, non-political.
It's absolutely non. In fact, in Salvo and Liberation, we don't even talk about politics.
It's really important because it just become a witch hunt, you know. And the thing is that they are trapped in this, and it's so complicated, and we can all mudsling, you know, but it's really not worth it because what we really want is independence and decolonization. So let's not talk about it because it's got nothing to do with independence. You know what I mean?
We want to be recognised as we are, as we
Yes.
operate. The British government have, since 1707, lived a complete lie.
It's awful.
There is no such thing as the Treaty of the Union.
Exactly. Exactly. And it's so important that people realize this.
What should have happened was the two parliaments should have been dissolved and never to show again. And the two crowns should have been parted and a single crown to unify the so-called union.
I think we should have built a wall and just told them all to away and boil your head.
Yes, well, we could use stronger words than that, I'm sure.
I just think that.
But what actually happened was, once the Lords, and in breach of Scottish law at the time, because Scottish law requires a question such as a union to be put to the people in 1707. And it dates back to 1310 and 1320 with the Treaty of the Clergy and the Treaty of the Union, Treaty of the Declaration of Arbroath, which are the basis of the claim of right, which is in itself, the claim of right 1689 is in itself a condition of the Treaty of the Union to be upheld by the United Kingdom Parliament. Now,
can I just mention something, Pat? It's really relevant, if you don't mind, just for 2 seconds.
Sorry?
Like, can I mention something just for 2 seconds?
Definitely. Just interrupt me because I can go on for too long.
I know, no, it's fine. It's relevant because most people don't know about this. 1689 was the claim of right. 1690 was the famine in Scotland. Now, this was not a famine. This was actually England's government, let's say, literally extermination attempt of Scots. Now, you wonder why these people fell into this trap. They'd come out of like Cromwell's nightmare, whatever, with the Commonwealth and, you know, seizing Scotland and people being sold as slaves and all this fish. And then going into this bloody famine. And there was, I think the massacre of Glencoe was around the same time, you know, it wasn't just McDonald's that were killed in the massacre of Glencoe. It was a lot of people. Their official records is total bollocks, you know. But then you've got this claim of right. So when they did it for a reason because they knew they were getting screwed. Excuse my language, but they knew. But anyway, carry on.
You're absolutely correct, Jem. They had the foresight to understand that once they were taken down to Westminster and embedded into the system there, but we're jumping ahead. We're jumping ahead. What actually took place was the Lords signed this so-called Treaty of the Union after they were bought and sold for English gold.
It was also
duress.
It was also Whigs. There was English Whigs in the party, a leftover from Cromwell's nonsense, and they are the ones who signed it together with some bribed nobles.
Yeah.
But it was in 1713 they literally tried to repeal it because they realized they're in the hell of a, this is wrong, it's getting broken all the time. Sorry, I interrupted you.
No, it's okay. It's a conversation, debate, whatever it is. But it's, if I'm constantly droning on in my drone voice, then your viewers will be well bored.
You have a lovely voice.
But the fact is, as soon as it was accepted, and it was not accepted in Scotland by any means, because they had to bring the forces in, and I believe
300 garrisons.
I believe there was over 600 garrisons.
Yeah, this is the thing, because they falsified our history, so they always tried to downplay it and make out like we were a bunch of wankers, but the truth is it was far worse,
Yes. Yeah, it was.
In every way. I could explain in so many ways, but I won't run your thing, so you go on.
Right, I'm not going to take up all the conversation because we have a really important issue coming up tomorrow. But suffice it to say, we don't have a political route, because Holyrood in itself is nothing more than an administrative arm of Westminster. So how do we take our case forward? The narrative is not about independence. The narrative is about decolonisation.
Absolutely, but it's kind of tied. And I think Sarah said to me once, sorry to interrupt you, she said, Jem, we need to change our words that we are using, because we are not dependent on Westminster. Therefore, using the word independent means we are like, we could be independent really easily. It was seized from us. And we are using all this terminology. It's colonial terminology. And now we need to redefine ourselves. And she also said, like, don't say we are big enough, wise enough, rich enough, because then you are literally responding to their too wee, too small, too poor, whatever, It's like, we've got to find our own terminology, and we've got to be more Scottish,
Yeah. Well, my view is we can, from the research of the Scottish Sovereignty Research Group, they have proven that we meet the criteria of a colony. Now, I know there are numbers within certain parties who have come out and publicly said that we are not a colony. Well, definition of a colony is a non-self-governed territory, a territory that doesn't have control of its resources, and a territory with imposed dependency.
Yeah.
And Scotland meets each and every one of those criteria.
Yeah.
So why don't we take the argument not into the UK stage? Why don't we take it to the international stage? There's been a lot of conversation about, would there be international support? Well, I saw a post earlier today from, I think it's David Murray, I think, in Germany, a German politician, who said he will do everything possible to support Scotland in its quest for decolonisation and so forth.
Did he say, "Guten Tag, I will support Scotland"? Yeah.
But the international community have never made a comment on Scotland's position within the UK, because Scotland has never asked the international community.
We've never been allowed to. We've never been allowed to. We literally had all of our rights stripped, and we were silenced for centuries.
That is not true, Jem.
Really?
Yeah, because we've just shown that we were never, we don't have to be allowed to.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, but in effect, they made people believe that we couldn't do it.
Well, you've got to ask yourself, for 120 years now, why it's taken Salvo, the Scottish Sovereignty Research Group, to come up with this avenue that was always
totally
there.
agree.
At least since 1948.
when we got to this modern era where they were decolonizing and everything, should have like been fighting harder. I know they've got this, like they can't go speak to, other foreign ministers and all this unless they are shadowed by some creepy little yun. But it's just, we can do it. As a people, as sovereign people, we have rights and we can do it.
It's not that we can do it. We are doing it.
Absolutely.
We are doing it. Now we know we can approach them on behalf of the membership of Salvo and Liberation.
Aye.
Then we have already opened up those lines of communication on the continent.
Yeah.
So there's a lot still more to do. There's going to be a request for participation on a non-political basis.
Yeah.
It's so important that we put our politics to the side and concentrate on our goal. Our goal is independence. Our goal is freedom. Our goal is decolonisation. And we now have the means and the route to enact that.
Yeah. I think the thing is, like, there's a guy a couple of, maybe 2 years ago, his name is Luke, he's on TikTok and he's in Wales, and he literally did this whole thing about Wales ticks all the boxes for colonization. And it kind of like people start waking up, and the thing is that Wales and Scotland and Ireland all tick the boxes for colonization. And a lot of people have their heads, like, trouble wrapping their heads around this, but we are colonized. We are.
Well, the 26
and we're not self-governing.
The 26 counties in Southern Ireland, because Ireland is a full nation in itself. But
it was just partitioned, like India was, like Persia was. It was
exactly. It was forced. It was forced upon the people, just as the occupation, colonization of Scotland and Wales was forced
and
on
Ireland.
the people of Scotland.
That's how they partitioned Ireland. It was occupation of colonial settlers, hostile colonial settlers.
We were supposed to be in a union of equals in 1707. Yet we had an army with garrisons around the country. We had laws against speaking of tongue. We had laws against wearing our national costume. We had laws against, at that time, being armed.
I think that one of the most scary things is, I don't know how many garrisons there were, but like the one record is 300. If you're saying it's 600, that's even worse. But
I've even heard up to 15, but I think there's been about 600. It's researchable. It's there.
No, of course. The point is that they were given an express instruction. Now, this is supposed to be a voluntary union, express instruction to subdue the Scots by any means. And the amount of people that died during that time, whether they were like literally tossed into the sea or fed to the sharks, or they were just buried at the side of the road, or whatever the case is, there's
burned in their home.
There's no non-figure of what happened and how many people disappeared, and that's part of the genocide, because they said by any means.
Yeah.
How many people died is horrendous.
Now, you could equate that to the building of the empire. The building of the empire started in the British Isles.
Yeah.
It started in the British Isles. It started with ourselves, with the monarchy of England determined to take control of Scotland.
Aye.
Determined. And it was only through our sheer stupidness that we interbred, our royalty interbred with the English royalty to form a line of succession.
Can I say something there?
Yeah.
I did research for a couple of decades, literally going and getting all the treaties, studying the treaties, what happened before and after, because there was actually letters and diaries from those ages. A lot of stuff was disappeared, like in the scorched earth policy, it was burned, but there are records. And literally going back to more or less when England was formed, they would descend on Scotland, on our royalty, like unannounced, with this really large army and say, if you don't sign this peace treaty and agree to marry our daughters, you will be slaughtered, basically, and it's kind of mafia style, and they couldn't do anything. So they ended up marrying these people, and this was the plan all along, to get the mixed bloodlines, and it was forced, and there's proof.
Yeah,
And
there was a fleet in the Firth of Forth, an English fleet in the Firth of Forth. There was an army on the border at Carlisle and Newcastle. There was the forces in Northern Ireland. They were all set up prior to the signing of the Treaty of the Union, and we were under no illusion. We were under no illusion if that treaty or that piece of paper, because it's not a treaty,
going to be slaughtered.
There was going to be an invasion
and a massacre.
Now, when that was signed, there was riots throughout Scotland. Not only outside St Giles's,
everywhere, right across Scotland, in the borders, everywhere.
Yeah. So we let's control our own narrative. We are a colony. We are a dependency on Westminster because it's been enforced on us, and we have a means to escape that without asking permission.
Exactly. And the thing is that what they do, and they did it to other countries as well, is actually falsify the history. So, like, at the time of the Greenwich Treaty, it was again trying to force a union. That was in the 1300s. Then, because we didn't agree to it, they literally come in and invaded, burnt Edinburgh, destroyed Leith, but they stole our Scottish Chronicles. And that was our history record. And they burnt everything. They went through the borders and they burnt everything. They burnt Edinburgh. They went totally mad. They destroyed Craigmillar Castle, the other castle, was it Roslin or something? But this is their attitude of whatever. And then they falsify the history. So they make you believe that you're a bunch of weak assholes, you know what I mean? And you're nothing and all this. So when they found out there was actually a record of the a copy kept in France in Latin of this thing, gradually, it took a long time to find that out. We start getting our history back, but so much of it is just nonsense, making us believe that, oh, you asked us to join the union. No, we didn't.
Yeah, that's so true. No, we were forced into the union. That is, and the removal of our culture, the removal of our language, the denial of all of these things are criteria that show we are a colony. And so we meet that expectation of the UN, and the UN has a committee 24, that will instigate decolonisation. So what we hope is that we will get a listening to, we will get a hearing, we will get a standing at the UN, and we will be able to put a comprehensive argument to the committee, and we look forward to a decision on that very, very soon.
If you need any more info, I know you've got John researchers and all sorts of things and Alfbad and all this, but I've got tons of research and literally proof of like quite important events throughout history that can prove even further, Pat, if you need, honestly.
Yeah. Well, that you could certainly contribute to the work of Liberation Scotland. So go into the website, send them an email.
It might have a couple of sweary words in it, but it's all accurate research.
I'm sure they've all heard a couple of sweary words. But in the positive sense, we have found an avenue that can take us to the desired venue that we wish to be at. That's the key. So that's the exciting news, and we're in the process of taking that forward. So,
well, I just want to say, like, to everyone who contributed, like, the hugest thanks on behalf of Scotland, because the dedication that went on behind that, and the lack of sleep and the stress trying to find one's way through this tangled bloody nightmare. I personally am so grateful to you guys.
Well, it's certainly not down to me. I'm certainly a drum beater, But
You guys, I didn't say only you.
the Scottish Sovereignty Research Group, Professor Alf Baird, Sarah Sawyers, they've put their heart and soul into this.
Ian Lawson,
the late Ian Lawson, a man I disagreed with on a number of occasions.
That's
but
normal.
When we found the cause, we found the reason to stop disagreeing.
What was the cause?
Mutual route to independence, a mutual route to decolonisation, and a mutual route to putting the power back into the people.
There's just so many people who did things. Can you mention the Scottish Sovereignty Research Group? Can I just mention something? As far as I know, and anyone can correct me because I do get things wrong very occasionally, and they spent something like 8 years in the archives, like where the Scottish Parliament was closed by the time of the Union. They come in there and they put total dedication in there to find these documents, because as you imagine, when the Scottish Parliament was closed, that was in disarray. Like, they probably got dragged out of there. And if they hadn't done this and they hadn't gone forward and started like Salvo and this and worked together, we wouldn't be at this point where we have this like spark, which is turning into a raging fire, that we have hope.
Absolutely.
So well done.
They were so dedicated that they spent the last, well, it's now on 11 years, and they're continually finding issues that will support our efforts to decolonise. So,
sorry, I got way late on the 8 years. It's 11 years now. But I mean, that's how long they spend in the archives,
Yeah, 8 years. And from that 8 years, evolved Salvo. Now, I don't know if anybody knows what Salvo is and what it means. Salvo was the means by which the community of the realm, which is us, we are the community of the realm, and our king is first among equals. They are not the superior, they are first among equals. And Salvo was the mechanism whereby laws passed in the Scottish Parliament prior to 1707 would be interrogated by the people, and they would call Salvo, and we would appear in the Committee of the States and the community of the realm, and we would, if we did not agree, if that law that was being passed at that time, at that year, infringed on the common good.
Yeah, there'd be a ruckus.
On the common good of all the people. Then we have the power, and it's still Scots law.
Yep.
We have the power to say to the Parliament, no, that law goes no further. Take it back, amend it to our liking, the people's liking.
Exactly.
So the Parliament made the law, and the people approved the law.
Or disapprove it, and they're like, no. And that's why we do need to say no. We like, no, this is not going to happen, and we can't say it because we have that right. And
if they refused, we could sack them.
Exactly, and that's maybe what we.
It wasn't a case of a right to recall. We could sack the whole government, whichever government is, and that is still law.
Well, this is a very valid point, because we lend them our votes, and then if they're supposed to uphold the will of the people and it's not being done, then you can say, well, this is your last chance. Like, we don't agree with what you're doing with free ports and SEZs and net zero and blah 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 blah. We voted for you for independence. I did. I was a member of a certain party, and I'm like, I wanted independence, and we have rights, and it's. I said I wouldn't talk about politics.
We don't have rights if we submit to dominance of a foreign nation. And right now, our Parliament operates within that administration.
Exactly.
Even in the limited form that it has. So
they are part of the colonial regime.
Now the people have the opportunity to take that power back. It's, are you willing to do it? You
Yes.
get nothing. You can change nothing while you're on your knees.
Yeah.
So when they come for people who are showing you the way, and they probably will. What will you do? What will you do when they start taking the voices away? Because it's a very big thing here. We are in the process of dismantling the United Kingdom. And
Yes.
history shows us that through the empire, history shows us when you go up against the United Kingdom, then you take on the full force.
But let's remember something like United Irish Unity, Welsh Independence, Kernow Independence. That's 4 groups in the UK that literally don't want anything to do with the UK and all the other countries that told them to get to. And you know, this is it. And I've been speaking to people. There's an initiative to get Ireland and Wales and Scotland and Kernow to work together because we have the similar experiences and we can back each other up, even though like England can lie to us, because basically the UK is just a pseudonym for England, and we can all back each other up, and we should be working together, because if as a group we just tell them bye bye, start walking, you know, they can't do anything.
Yeah. As we were saying earlier, there should have been a new unitary government, a new unitary crown.
Yep.
But what actually happened was the Scottish Parliament closed, the English Parliament changed its name. So it still actually is, as Boris Johnson said himself, it's the English Parliament.
It is. They're just using a pseudonym, like they use the British Empire or Great Britain, and then it's the UK. They hide behind pseudonyms.
Yeah. So
it's all about them.
We have found a way, and we are following that path, and
Yay!
we will take it to. See, there's a history here. There's a history in that any liberation movement, which is formed and formed correctly, and to be honest, our age necessitates the need for a liberation movement, because we are not going to be here fighting the good fight forever. But
we can lose another generation of people. It needs to be done fast.
Let me finish this. History shows us once a liberation movement is established, it reaches its goal eventually.
Yep.
Because there are people coming behind those who begun the campaign, and we will reach our goal. We will achieve decolonisation. We will achieve self-determination, because the system at the UN is in place, and we simply need to be recognised as a non-self-governing territory.
And we are, and some people are literally going, "Oh no, but we've got our own government," but they're powerless. They're powerless.
No, we don't have it. See, that's another fallacy. We don't have a government.
No, we don't.
We have, as you were saying, the pseudonym. We have a British administration. That's what Holyrood is.
And their salaries are paid by the British government.
We were fooled by the name change. We don't have a government.
No,
we have an administration. They administer, excuse me, they administer Scotland on behalf of the United, or on behalf of the English Parliament, as we should be saying now.
And the worst thing is that they have to swear allegiance, and they receive their salary from the colonial regime. So they are trapped in that system, regardless of what their intention is when they go into it. They are literally...
Exactly.
As they walk through the door, they get a bag over their head, their hands tied together, and they're like, behave, and they have to behave.
Well, the ISP and I think it was Indy for Independence for Indy sent a request to the Scottish Parliament for them to have an oath of allegiance, not to the English Parliament, but to the Scottish people.
Yeah.
which is actually Scots law. And no king or queen since Queen Anne, at the time of the Treaty of the Union, has ever taken the full succession oath. So we don't have a king. Our monarchy sits in abatement. Not one of them since 1707 have taken the secession oath, the coronation oath.
I know.
To swear allegiance to the Scots people. So
And
they are not kings or monarchs of Scotland.
Absolutely. And the fact is, like, they literally wanted the crown. Like, Edward marched over and stole the crown and the scepter and the honours of Scotland. But then when in 1707, they just left it in Edinburgh Castle and they literally bricked it up and had it in a thing. And it was Walter Scott went along and like, oh, discovered this. And it's like they want to claim they have our crown, but they don't. They literally, I think it goes way back before Anne. You know, I found documents that literally said that they actually, they deposed James, right? They said he what you call it, abdicated. They said he abdicated. He literally didn't abdicate. He fled religious persecution. Okay, then they went to the convention of their states and said he's abdicated. They didn't know because they didn't have mobile phones. They couldn't just go on Zoom and say, hello, did you abdicate? He's in freaking France. So they literally used the church that they'd implanted in Scotland, invited William of Orange, and this is the wording, to invade Scotland and seize the throne. Okay, and that's exactly what he did. And whether he was married to James's daughter or whatever is immaterial, because she became like this non-entity, even though she was literally the Queen of Scotland. And it became all about William and religious persecution. And the same with Anne, she might have been like related because it was forced relation. It's literally, she wasn't Scotland's queen. She never could be, you know? Well, that's my opinion.
According to our research, she is the last monarch to take the coronation oath in full. If you notice when Charles was here in St Giles's, and the Scottish honours were presented to him, he never touched them.
Exactly.
He never put them on his head, and he never took the full oath. Because by doing so, by acknowledging the crown and even placing the crown on his head, he would have to pledge allegiance to the Scottish people.
Yeah.
Not one of them have done that since Anne, as my understanding. I could be wrong, but I don't think I am.
It's appalling. It's appalling, you know. And I remember we were standing outside during the protest, and Manky Jacket was in the crowd with us, pushing all the Salvo. He was literally pushing Salvo people.
Yeah, he was creating an opportunity for a clash.
I know, but it was so funny because Freedom Tracy, she got I think I gave it to you. I can't remember how it went, but there was a Scottish, not British sticker on it, and it went on Manky's back, right? And the police were around there. And they were laughing. Everybody was killing themselves laughing. And eventually they said to him, you need to move on now. And they moved him away. But we were killing ourselves laughing. Yeah, I mean, he didn't say the oath. He didn't touch the crown. And it's a farce. It's like a pantomime, honestly.
Yeah, but we've been living that pantomime for 318 years now.
It's a bit stale.
Yeah. Well, we have a route out, and we are taking it.
Yeah.
So if your viewers and supporters of independence want to get on board, we're more than happy to have you here. We just have one rule: don't bring your politics in. Leave your politics at the door. Concentrate on the cause. Get to the end goal, and then we can deal with everything else after that. Without independence, we can change nothing.
It has to be non-political because it has to be people power. They can do it. It's only the people that can do this.
Yeah.
I think we're going to have a break, if you don't mind. I think you need a drink of water as well as I do. Graham Dallas, Pepper Jock wrote a song for Salvo. I don't know if you've heard it. It's called Cry for Freedom. Do you mind if I put it on?
Please do.
And you can have a
Good
breather.
friend of mine.
I'm not sure if it mutes our mics there. I don't know if it mutes the mics. So just check your mic is muted. Okay. Okay, here we go, people. Graham Dallas, Pepper Jock singing Cry for Freedom.
As I sit by the river, watching the river flow, my thoughts go back to a time many years ago, when our people woke to find their freedom sold without their say. We're still fighting that injustice today. As I sit by the river, I begin to understand they control our lives, but they do not own our lands. The people are sovereign, it's always been that way, and they cannot take that from us today. If we can stand together, the beast within will roar, and our cry for freedom shall not be ignored. Nationalist, terrorist, separatist, the names you throw at me. How can I be a rebel when it's my country I'm trying to free? You can pass fraudulent laws, get your courts to abide. The claim of rights states the people will decide. As I sit by the river, I can clearly see the path to independence. Will you walk with me? We can take control tomorrow, no matter what they say. Sovereignty lies with the people legally. If we can stand together, the beast within will roar, and our cry for freedom shall not be ignored. If we can stand together, the beast within will roar, and our cry for freedom shall not be ignored. They claim a right state, the people will decide.
Okay. Pat, you're still muted. Okay. So isn't that beautiful, Graham? Actually, Pepper Jock made that song especially for Salvo, and I think that's so important because, like, the government didn't recognize Salvo, and it put a doubt on things. And I think it's so nice that he made that song. It's a beautiful sentiment.
Well, we were once described as moon howlers.
Oh, we've all been described as moon howlers by the Yuns, you know, the list of insults just goes on and on and on.
Well, moon howler or not, we are now physically at the UN. So that's positive.
Yay!
Positive news over the
I'm
moon.
so proud of you guys, honestly. You guys and girls are like lads and lasses. I'm so proud of you.
Well, we've taken the cause further than any political party in the last 120 years.
You know what? People power. Like, I want to tell you a story I told you earlier on, okay? Literally, like, I grew up in South Africa and it was basically a colony, and Desmond Tutu was like a real amazing guy. He was Bishop Desmond Tutu, like, but he was so cool. And he had this statement, the people shall govern. And one day they were doing a huge protest, and the military come out and with their tanks and all this and sprayed them. So it was supposed to be water cannons, you know. And they put like some purple dye in there. It must have been ancient violet or something. And they sprayed everybody purple so they could trace who was at the event afterwards, and, you know, like literally go and stalk them down. I got sprayed purple as well. Yeah. And it wouldn't come off. And Bishop Tutu just turned it around, Desmond Tutu, and he was like, the purple shall govern. You know, you can do what you want to us, but the people will govern, and this is the truth, that they will.
And so it was to be.
Yeah,
so it was to be that the people took power, because power is never given. Power is always taken, but it needs to come back into the hands of the rightful people, the rightful owners of that power, and we are that rightful owner, and we intend to enact the rights that we are due.
They kind of have this. Colonizers have tactics, like, and they've got so many countries in the whole world, and we are actually in a state of psychological warfare, and there's all these weapons that they use. And until you recognize them and know how to defend yourself against them, and you can, it's all the dehumanization, it's the gaslighting, it's the lying, it's like they make people feel helpless. And it's also, you know, this engineered famines and all of this. And once you realize it and you concentrate on the facts, which is what you guys have done, it's actually repeating the facts and stop watching all the pish, that you can actually take your power back, because it's not really gone. It's there all along. It was just that you bombarded with psychological warfare. And psychological warfare goes way back in history. If you go and study it with different countries, what they used about psychological warfare. But in this day and age, they're even using things like EMF, electromagnetic frequency, which causes fear in a nation. They can target people with EMF. And we've actually been around the country measuring it, and literally the kind of more deprived areas are like the EMF is extremely high, extremely, like, way off the scale. And you go along to the unionist areas and it's not. We are being targeted with EMF, and that causes fear in a population. It's being used as a weapon. So there are so much psychological warfare that we don't actually realize. And then it's like, you know, the suicide rate goes up, people are feeling depressed, and we have all this gaslighting from the unions that, oh, you're a bunch of junkies and alcoholics and this pitch. This is a sign of colonial trauma that all indigenous people suffered, like the Native American Indians or the Aborigines, that they become susceptible to drugs and alcohol. But who's providing the drugs? Most of the drugs come across from England.
Well, it's funny you should mention all that. I came across yesterday, a post on one of the reels, and it was a direct quote from John D. Rockefeller in the 1800s. And it said exactly that. It said about the how they will introduce poisons, and they'll sell it as good for you. And they'll sell this and they'll sell that, but they'll under punishment of death.
Yes.
Under punishment of death, none of the society will ever disclose what's going on. And you only have to look. Now, this is where we get called moon howlers. But in 1800s, in the 1800s, we did not have the cancers that we have.
Exactly.
We did not have ADHD. We did, and they'll dismiss this by it was never reported. It was never researched. It was never. No, we didn't have them because we'd healthy diets. We'd no processed food. We had no chemicals in our water. We had no chemicals in our food. We are having our environment polluted deliberately.
You talk about water, like literally the introduction of fluoride into water and into toothpaste was just a total con, okay? This is a substance, and my parents were both like scientists, okay, like famous scientists, and fluoride is basically used to subdue the masses. We don't need it so much for our teeth. It was a weapon. There are so many things that were used as weapon, including religious persecution, weapons against us. That's not cannons or guns or anything, just weapons. And basically, most of the drugs come from derivatives of opium, and opium was literally when they took over Hong Kong to get into the opium market. This is why the poppy is such a farce. It's got nothing to do with respecting the fallen. Those people had seeds on them because it was the only method of pain relief while they were fighting in the wars. And when they died, it would come out on and grow, you know. And this is like heroin is a derivative of this. And most of the drugs come from England. And especially during lockdown, a lot of them were actually poisoned and people were dying from like fake Valiums and all these things. So it's one thing for them to gaslight us and call us a nation of alcoholics and junkies, but at the same time, they are actually putting this into our system.
Well, that I'll try and get a link and I'll send it to you, and you can maybe share it. But those exact words, we'll have them happy, and we'll spoil them with sport. We'll distract them. We'll do all that. With pharmaceuticals, here's the question, and we're going way off topic here.
It doesn't
here's
matter.
the question: we've had pharmaceuticals, we've had charities for over 100 years. How many diseases have they actually eliminated?
None.
They've controlled them. They've controlled them with vaccines and so forth. But how many have they eliminated? How many have they cured?
Another story entirely.
How many have they? There's no cure to even measles. There's a vaccine to it. There's a vaccine to it to control it, but there's no cure for it.
Vaccines make money, to be honest. Like the thing is, you mentioned something. Yeah. You mentioned something else about how people used to eat. So let's go back to the time of the famine and all this. So we were invaded, our people were slaughtered, then they took the land away from us. And one of the crushing things about colonization is other nations have said this: you take the land away from the people and they lose their connection with who they are. Okay. And they could no longer grow barley, rye, and oats, which made them such strong, amazing people, that made them good warriors, that made them resilient to the climate and everything. They were squashed into small little areas and handed potatoes. Now I find this in an ancient text, and people didn't used to eat potatoes. They were forced on them. Mm-hmm. And then suddenly we get this potato famine. And we were healthy people. People grew their own food, the rye, barley, and oats, and that was our staple.
People were of the land and in the land.
Yeah, and they were healthy and they had their own healing things. We didn't need modern medicine. We had all sorts of things growing in nature that people used, and this is where modern medicine comes from. But when you have modern medicine, it's literally taken out and used in extreme quantities with all sorts of other pish that's bad for you, and you get side effects from it. So then you need one medicine to counteract the other, and you're feeling pish, you know? We can be a healthy society again if we go back to our roots.
Well, the fact is, modern pharmaceuticals are only about 200 years old.
Yeah, and it comes from natural medicine.
Prior to that, you had herbal remedies.
Exactly.
Because you didn't need chemicals to fight the cancers and the chemical distraction or eruptions within the human body. It's not curing anything, but for millennia, we used what they call the natural remedy.
Exactly.
Natural remedy. Now,
Exactly.
natural remedy is seen as a complementary medicine, but it kept the human
honestly.
It kept the human race alive for tens of
Millennia.
thousands of years.
It's just total gaslighting because modern stuff comes from it, and this is how we get healthy again. Stop eating all the preservatives. Focus on what we used to live on, and our people were the strongest, most amazing people. And mental health goes down the bloody toilet when you've got loads of preservatives and additives and
chemicals,
all sorts of fish in the water.
They're all chemicals. They're all chemicals, and they interact with the body in a negative manner.
And once we realize that we are being targeted with EMF, you can literally you can use earphones, and you can use sound therapy, which is actually there's loads of them on the internet. There's a frequency that the earth has that you can't hear in cities called the earth arm. It's just called Schumann's frequency, literally discovered by this guy, and it helps people in space because they lost this connection with it. We've got different sound frequencies, and you can actually block out the EMF by having earphones and playing these sound frequencies, and then it doesn't affect you. But the reason why everybody's got such strong anxiety and such strong depression and everything is from all this fish. We need to recognize where it's coming from. It's all warfare being used against us.
Yeah,
we can counteract it. Shall I play another song, and then we will talk about Grangemouth?
I think we should talk about Grangemouth,
because that's a little battle that we have to have. So this song, I'm going to get pissed for this, but I'm just going to make a statement. Okay, the rights to this song actually belong to Labby Sifre, right? Did I say it correctly?
That's correct.
And it's sung by Amanda Brown, Pete Skelly, and this guy, I've never heard of him before. His name is Pat Lee. So let's listen to the song, guys. Can you hear me now?
The higher you build your barriers, the taller I become.
I can hear. Can you hear me?
The farther you take my rights away, the faster I will run.
You can't deny me. You can't decide to turn your face away. No matter, 'cause there's something inside so strong. I know that I can make it. No, you're doing me wrong, so wrong. You thought that my pride was gone. Oh no, there's something inside so strong. Oh, something inside so strong.
The more you refuse to hear my voice, the louder I will sing.
You hide behind walls of Jericho. Your lies come tumbling. Deny my place in time. You squander wealth that's mine. My light will shine so brightly, it will blind
It
you.
will blind you.
Because there's something inside so strong. And I know that I can make it. No, you're doing me wrong, so wrong. You thought that my pride was gone. Oh no, something inside so strong. Oh, something inside so strong.
do it anyway.
Something inside so strong, and I know that I can make it. No, you're doing me wrong, so wrong. You thought that my pride was gone. Oh no, there's something inside so strong. Whoa, something inside so strong. Brothers and sisters, when they insist we're just not good enough, well, we know better. Just look them in the eyes and say, we're gonna do it anyway. 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 Because there's something inside so strong, and I know that I can make it. No, you're doing me wrong, so wrong. You thought that my pride was gone. Oh no, something inside so strong, something inside so strong, so strong. I know that I can make it. No, you're doing me wrong, so wrong. You thought that my pride was gone. Oh no, there's something inside so strong. Whoa, something inside so strong. Whoa, something inside so strong. Whoa, something inside so strong.
I said you guys did really good with that. Like, that sounded brilliant. I didn't know
Well-
you were multi-talented, huh?
Well, it's a wee bushel it's a wee talent I've kept under a bushel.
Well, now we know about it. You've been exposed, and there was a really good song, and it's kind of appropriate. It's literally, they've done us wrong, and we are gonna make it. I was singing
Yes.
along in the background, so lucky my mic was off. By the way, that noise that come across, I don't know where they come from, but it wasn't from my home because I don't have anyone else. Yes, so I heard it, and I was in the other office, and I was like, "What the hell is going on?"
Oh,
it wasn't coming from me.
So it's not coming to you, and it's not coming to me. I wonder where that could be coming from.
Oh, I can imagine MI5 bastards.
Oh no, I couldn't possibly say that was the case. That could be true. Couldn't
Well,
be
it
true.
definitely wasn't coming from my side. My mic was on silent, and I come back and check, and I was looking at the screen. Then I went to the kitchen to get something to drink, and I heard it again, and I was like, "What the hell? It's nothing to do with me."
Are you ready? Are you ready?
I am. So let's go. Fire away.
Okay. So tomorrow, 12 o'clock noon.
What's happening tomorrow?
12 o'clock noon, Grangemouth, INEOS headquarters.
Tell me more.
The workers at Grangemouth are seeking your support, our support, and we have to tell them. See, I've already lived through the deindustrialisation of industries in Scotland.
Exactly.
The proclaimers nailed it when they said Bathgate no more, Linwood no more, Methil no more, and I'll go Motherwell no more, because we lost the Ravenscraig. As a 16-year-old in 1979, and that's me giving my age away.
I thought you were only 41.
I was.
You lied to me.
I was forced to leave this country to find work as a 16-year-old.
That's awful. That's so awful.
So yes. we are seeing the second wave of deindustrialization, and we're seeing it from a 100-year-old refinery. We have refined our own oil for 100 years.
Yep, and it is our oil.
And the fact is that it was public money that created that refinery.
Yeah, tell us about that, Pat.
Back in 1924, British Petroleum, as it was at the time, built the refinery at Grangemouth.
It was owned, right?
It was owned by the people. It was privatized. It was privatized by choice, not of the people, but again of Westminster and Maggie Thatcher. I'm sorry, I've got to. I cannot say that word without a spit.
Never heard of it.
We are, because Ratcliffe chose to decorate Old Trafford. Our so-called partner government have underwritten £1 billion to tar up Old Trafford. It's
appalling. Absolutely appalling. It's bribery.
They've underwritten this loan. They've underwritten this loan that INEOS require, while INEOS stand in £12.5 billion worth of debt. Is that a marker? Is that a marker for too big to go bust?
This is literally alarm bells ringing, and the sirens must be going off, because I know there was a union on one of the pages today, literally going, "Oh, but this Grangemouth is in debt and all this," and I was like, "Are you stupid?" Like, no, I didn't say that. I was more rude. Oil is a profitable business. If Grangemouth is in a bad condition and in debt or whatever, it's because they've been taking out all the money and not putting in anything back. And you can't be fooled by this. You can't be fooled by it.
Well, just a wee second on that, because there's another loan. There's another underwritten loan by the British government on behalf of INEOS to the tune of 600 million. 600 million, which is Ratcliffe is going to use to build a refinery in Antwerp. I thought the British government wanted to come out of Europe so that it could take back control.
No, they come out of Europe because they wanted to get rid of the human rights, like what Trump is doing, and then they can do what they want to, and they can crush protest laws and all this. It was all a facade.
Scotland once again is the scapegoat for British politics. 600 million to build a new refinery in Antwerp. It doesn't cost that much to refurbish and renew.
Using our oil. Now, how does the licenses tie into that? Because when they got licenses, it was to process the oil in Scotland. This big facade, it's Scottish oil. Now they know that we're using it for independence. We've got oil. We get independence. We'll be a rich country. So they take the oil away from us, but it makes it unlawful. What they're doing is they can't move a refinery to another country and still use our oil. They can't do it because none of these countries that have had oil taken and using oil all the time have ever put anything back into Scotland. Never started oil fund, nothing. Just take. It's appalling.
Yeah. It goes back to 1924 when BP came into life. It was then known as the Anglo-Persian Oil Company and was primarily owned by the British government. So we built it with public money, and BP acquired a controlling stake in the company during World War I. I'm reading off my notes here. So
don't you love the way they use the word acquired, because it literally means seized?
Seized. And during World War I, by seizing the assets of a German-owned company and selling them to Anglo-Persian.
Aye.
So the refinery was at one point a national asset. It belonged to us.
Exactly.
Not only was it Scotland's oil that was stolen. They stole Scotland's refinery.
Never mind that. Like literally, the way that they did things is they got into Persia, okay, colonization, partitioned it into Iran and Iraq, and then they used it as a weapon against Scotland to say, now this Persian company is now taking control of this, and it's all little arms of the English Empire. It's
It was all part of the empire. Everything began here in Scotland.
It's awful.
When they prototyped colonialism. They prototyped it here in Scotland with the clearances, and they took that abroad to create the empire.
They did, and they dragged us along with them. And we always have this thing with the unionists saying, "Oh, but we were part of colonialism." No, we were not a voluntary part.
But we were colonized first.
Exactly.
And any colony, there are members of the elite who will assimilate and become colonialists themselves, because that's how you get on in the world, in the capitalist world anyway.
In the meantime, they had numerous extermination attempts, not only of us, but of Ireland and Wales at the same time. They'd been having a go at India. Like, if you think of how many people they literally exterminated worldwide, and this is the thing that gets me, right? Of all the money, okay, in 1707, the English government was 18 million in debt. Scotland didn't have debt. And I'm not even going to go into the Darien thing because it's all a lot of pish, okay? And now they went into every country in the world almost, okay? Stole colossal amounts, okay? Slaughtered people. And yet there are still trillions in debt today. Where did that money go? Because they are thieves extraordinaire.
Yeah. Massive elite. They have a massive elite, and our wealth went to the elite.
It's not only us, the whole world. Can you imagine if you try to calculate how much money they've stolen from the whole freaking world?
Well, apparently up until 1947, when India gained independence, they had sucked the life out of India to the tune of 43 trillion.
Yeah, and the amount of people, the genocide in what they called India, because it was actually like everything was one country, and they also used religion as a weapon in India
to create partition between the Muslims and the Sikhs, and the Muslims in Pakistan,
and then
the Muslims in Bangladesh.
The tactic is to make people hate each other based on some basis. It's a division tactic, and we have to recognize it. And like all this stuff that's based on religion in Scotland, and it's very firmly entrenched because it goes into our sport and all sorts of things. It's a lot of pish. Basically, the people in our land, okay, I'm talking about Ireland, Scotland, Wales, and even England, okay, we didn't have those religions. It was forced on us first by the Romans, okay, and then by King Henry, literally sent in the people and Cromwell and all this, and they implanted their church and then divided us. We are not each other's enemies.
No.
This is a colonial technique, and we have to recognize the techniques and actually just tell them, just get that out of our face, because it's a lot of pish.
Yeah, that is, if we and they're using it not only then, but they're using it now. They're using it today. We're infiltrated throughout our movement.
We are
by instigators of discontent within the movement itself, and we need to. I've been drawn into it myself, where I've fought with fellow independentistas.
But they're not actually, they're just infiltrators.
Well, that could be, but others follow where some would like to lead, if that makes sense. But on the basis of the great power robbery, our energy robbery, Salvo have already informed the UK. We will seek reparations for the pillage of the past. And we now inform the UK each and every penny of spoils you remove, we will sue for its return with interest.
The only problem is that they're trillions in debt, and like I trust that money is actually sitting in offshore bank accounts. It's not gone. It didn't evaporate. They have it. Okay. They do have it somewhere. It's just not in our in our land. And
in their bank accounts.
yeah, there's all this, and I've got much information, but I won't say anything now. But like it's massive colonial crime.
Yeah, yeah, and there will be reparations. There will be reparations to be paid, and we will. By the way, let's get back to the all-encompassing reason we're talking of such things. We will get our freedom.
Of course we will.
It's guaranteed. It's not a matter of if, it's simply a matter of when.
Yeah.
And that depends on us. We have the power and the means and the avenue now to install our wish, as we had prior through Salvo, to instruct our government to act on our behalf.
Absolutely, but isn't it so important for people to actually know that what is happening is unlawful, and even what our own government has been pushed into, but they should have come to the people to speak about it first, is these free ports and SEZs, they are unlawful as fuck.
Yeah,
Really,
that's a whole different show.
I know, but it's unlawful.
But I would advise any viewers to research Salvo free ports and special enterprise zones, and even European Powell. He has a vast array of information.
Oh, he's really good, actually. I'm with him on Twitter, like.
Absolutely, he is. He's informed to the hilt. So if you want to know anything about free ports and special enterprise zones where corporates are mafia,
like BlackRock,
like BlackRock and Vanguard, and
got into
all
the
the rest
business
of them,
of buying countries, and literally it's just.
And the British government are in their pockets.
Yep.
Another reason for imposing the will, the desired will, or the settled will of the Scottish people.
So this is really important stuff, and I think we should get you back on the show if you want to come back again. We'll talk about free ports, not this time. Let's talk about Grangemouth, okay? So I believe there's an event happening there tomorrow. Tell me about that. You're going to be a speaker?
Yes, I believe they've asked me to speak, so I'll do my best to support the workers and provide them with as much hope as we can. But it's not a given. It's not a given. Each and every person in this country has a means to contact their MP. Now, the Labour Party were elected on the words from Anas Sarwar. It only takes your will to direct Anas Sarwar to deliver his pledge. Now, Sir Keir Starmer has
this
just
is making me feel really nauseous. Like, you're talking about Labour, it makes me want to throw up. Like,
they were elected on the basis of saving Grangemouth. Their words: "We will save every job. We will throw money at it to ensure that those jobs are saved." And
didn't he say, "Read my lips"?
Read my lips. That was austerity.
Now he's gonna eat my words.
Yeah, but the Thatcher's Damien, Thatcher's Sprague, and Sir Kid Starver has come out this week and stated publicly that they will provide £200 million of funding.
Don't trust him with the barge pole. Don't trust him with the barge pole.
The devil is in the detail. What are the terms? What are the conditions?
Don't trust him ever.
Just as in the Treaty of the Union, what are the conditions and what are the terms? The terms are £200 million if it is match funded by private equity. Private equity will be provided through free ports and special enterprise zones, who will be funded by public money. So public money to buy out a publicly owned, a publicly created system in Rosai and Grangemouth. So public money. When did the privateers use their money? When did they invest to ensure the jobs are secured? You have the means to enforce your politicians to act in your best interests and fulfill their pledges prior to election. And if we all get together and support the efforts of Salvo and Liberation.Scot, then we can bring that power back to ourselves and use the rights that we have in Scots law to enforce the politicians to act. And if they don't, we can sack the bastards.
Absolutely. And can I just mention at this time, everybody, like, I think with the government not actually acknowledging Salvo, and even now it really pisses me off, I'm going to be honest, that they haven't actually gone and said, well done, Salvo, thank you so much. They just kept totally like, don't read my lips. But you guys have done an amazing job, every single one of you. And people join Salvo, okay? You can join Salvo.Scot, you can join Liberation.Scot, both of them. The one thing I do recommend is, and it's the same with signing petitions with any organization about any topic, you need to go into your email and check your spam folder, because if somebody's not in your contact list, it will go into spam. You need to respond to the confirmation message, and then you are a member. Okay. Yeah. It's really important, and I think this is something that I do, right? I work for Independence Live as a volunteer for many years, and I contribute to the fundraisers because we need our independent media. And at the same time with Salvo, they're going to have legal costs with this going to the ICJ and everything. And this is something that is a real blessing for Scotland. Like, I don't want to use a religious term because I'm not religious, but it's a freaking blessing. Like, and listen, this is something that you use crowdfunding for. Just say we use the indie movement, okay? And I'm using this for a point because it's valid in any terms, okay? We had over 1.6 million people voting for independence, okay, in a rigged election. We're not even going to go there, okay? And what everybody gives £1, okay? So even if you've got 4 kids, you give £4, big deal. You're going to get at least 1.6 million, okay? Now that covers things. Nobody's suffering about this. This is tiny little money. I mean, literally, you know, something that I want to point out, like every country had its own way of getting freedom. Okay. You look at India. Okay. Gandhi went on hunger strike. This was a huge sacrifice on his behalf. And like in certain terms, you know, like Ireland also tried this. And I think Bobby Sands actually died eventually because of hunger strike. It's a very strong thing when you're giving small money on a large scale, and we're not even talking about the rest of the country, because closing Grangemouth affects unionists too. They don't realize this, okay? Just the indie movement, we could easily raise overnight, basically, 1.6 million, which would help Salvo tremendously with legal costs and everybody in Scotland. This is something.
It would not only help Salvo, it would help the whole movement. And,
exactly.
And there's an established route for that funding to be received, and that would be through your own crowdfunder for Independence Live, and through the Scottish Independence Foundation, and
also directly to Liberation.Scot and
directly to Liberation and Salvo.
All the indie media like Caledon Radio, they do a grand job. There's the Scotland Channel. There's all these different groups. SOSA, you know, people need funding. If we are gonna, like, you might notice there's little glitches when we are broadcasting, right? we are all volunteers. We are all buying our own equipment. When we are live streaming, the live streams aren't perfect. Somebody can bump us and there goes our tablet and our tripod. We have to replace our stuff all the time. And people are like, oh, why are you doing a fundraiser? You don't realize the amount of money that it does. And the organizers of this event on Saturday, tomorrow, literally a group of people got together, okay, and they used their own initiative to just get an event going because nobody else did it, okay, and it needed to be done. These people put their hands in their own pockets and forked out for this. So when you get there and you don't like the way something was done, just like, you know what, seal your lips because you didn't do it. Don't criticize the people who are doing things. Like, go out there and help get your country free. As a sovereign Scot, you need to put your little bit in, and it's not even in crowdfunding, it's everything. Like, I think the organizers were asking for people to join in and donate prizes for the raffle tomorrow. They're looking for a tug of war rope because they're going to do some kind of it's going to become a movie in the end, but literally with different Highland sports, okay, demonstrating how it relates to independence. So the tug of war over Grangemouth is the Scottish people saying, we want Grangemouth, and they are saying, no, we're taking it away. So we've got a whole plan for this, and it's going to be filmed. So they were looking for a tug of war rope, any kind of rope, and people to bring along, people to be stewards and all this. So don't shy away from it. You sovereign Scots, join in and help to get your country free and contribute to people's fundraisers. You're not going to lose a lot of money. I've just got one point to say, okay? As sovereign Scots and the Sovereign Scot Independent Movement, okay, they are more powerful than anyone realizes. And if they crowdfund it, and this is just hypothetical, okay, I'm just trying to tell people there's a little spark here. So it's not a perfect, I'm not telling you the whole plan, but 1.6 million people, okay, at least voted yes. Every single person contributes, okay, £1,000 over 3 months. So it's £330. You're not going to starve. It's not like going on starvation and hunger strike. Okay. That will literally raise the hugest amount of money. Now, just if you got half of those people doing it, it would raise 800 million. And that could buy Grangemouth. Because what we need to do is we need to look into the licenses. We need to look into everything. But as a Scottish people, we need to save our only oil refinery. It cannot be closed down. And what we can do is actually institute some kind of a legal action to block it so that we've got more months to raise money. And we can literally, everyone who contributes could be a shareholder in Grangemouth. And if they've let it go to wreck and ruin, we can fix it, but don't lose it. Never.
You've got to remember, Jem, the decision to close Grangemouth is a purely political decision. It's to ensure that whether we become independent or not, Scotland is further dependent on England. If we, even though we produce 90% oil and gas of the UK waters, and no such thing as the UK, but we produce 90%. We would be the only country in the world that produces oil that does not have their own refinery. It's another nail in the coffin to allow Westminster to dictate. Now, if we're serious about it, we could take it over ourselves. But I think our governments should have been looking well before now about what to do and how to address that issue. We've known for years this was their intention, and it's time. If they're not prepared to support us, then we need to be prepared to support ourselves.
Exactly. The purple shall govern.
The purple shall govern.
And I think it's really important to realize that we are powerful. We've been lied to. We've been subjected to psychological warfare, all sorts of things. And What Salvo's doing is brilliant. So if you don't know what Salvo's doing, go and find out. If you join them, you will get on the email list and you'll get information all the time. Just one thing I want to ask you, Pat, you were talking about a letter that went to the Scottish government or the UK government to say literally, I think it was to the UK government that Salvo is saying to them, you know, this needs to be reparation.
Reparations will be
I
sought.
thought I was saying the wrong word for a second.
Reparations will be sought for every penny that has been stolen, because there's no other word for it. They have taken without permission. You cannot sell what you do not own. That's theft. And since 1707, they have taken without replenishing or reparation.
It's been a lot longer, because most people don't realize this is the 5th time they've seized Scotland. The 5th
but
time. So
we're taking it back to the point that they have told the international community that Scotland is an equal partner. We're taking it back to that time. We can prove that Scotland has never been an equal partner in our research and our evidence that we will present, and it will be presented. The beauty of this is, now whether they agree with us or not, that will come down to a legal matter, but it will be presented in a court of law, and England will be made to answer those questions.
And never mind, they've done this to all the other countries. Then we also have our allies, which is our neighbours of Wales and Ireland and Connaught, literally having the same thing done to them. So
they have lied. They have openly lied to, according to our case, they have openly lied to the international community.
Oh, they have. Of course they have.
So now we, the people, not the politicians, we, the people, will ask the questions, and they will answer them.
That's a thing, you know. I think in future, well, I've got a whole lot of ideas, and we can even bring it up another time, but I believe that we need to be operating under the Sovereign Scot independence movement as a whole. No politics involved. As a people, it already exists, and we've got all the organizations within the movement, okay, including yourselves, okay, and we nominate a Sovereign Scot People's Assembly that's got 100 representatives. And that literally is above the government because they're sovereign Scots, okay? And that makes the decisions. That decides what's in the contracts. Politicians can't decide. They can do admin tasks. They can handle all the pensions and the roads and, you know, all these admin tasks that they are doing. But they cannot make these other decisions, and they've proved this for so many centuries that they're just going to screw it up because they are subject to being bribed. And the actual people are not, generally. You might get a couple who are, but the people shall govern.
The people shall govern, and the purple shall govern.
Absolutely. The blues, we the blues. South Africa was the purples.
Yeah.
Can you imagine if they sprayed us all blue tomorrow? We'd be running around like little Smurfs, you know.
Can we reinforce the importance of attendance tomorrow?
Yes.
So it's do we have the postcode, Jen?
Yeah, the postcode is on the flyers.
It's FK3. FK3. What's that postcode? It's on my phone number.
Literally INEOS headquarters in Grangemouth. There's a little green place opposite from INEOS. And we are doing a section 11, and this is really important, okay? Section 11 is Article 11, sorry. And Article 11. I was like, Section 11.
The right of association.
It's the right of freedom of assembly, that you can actually have a peaceful protest. So we're not having any push, okay?
Section 9 and 10 is the right of association and the right of protest.
Yes.
And Section 11, the right to gather.
Article 11.
Articles.
You did it. So basically, if anything happens tomorrow and the police come up there, which they will, we will literally, myself and Pat, are you willing to do this? And I've heard somebody else is also willing to do it. It's up to you. we just go, and I was told literally by police in Edinburgh that we just have Article 11s with us, and we say to them,
Article 9, 10, and 11 will cover us on
have
that.
you got copies of it?
They know the law. They should
I know,
know
but
the law.
the guys in Edinburgh literally told me, the police in Edinburgh, and he was actually an indie supporter. He was like, have it on you, on all the stewards. If they come along, you take charge. I'll take charge. I don't mind. I'm not scared of them.
Yeah, no
and
problem.
Say,
no
we are
problem.
having a peaceful protest, okay? We are allowed to do this, and we're not going to have any kind of nonsense going on. I will tell you that Ineos will always complain when somebody takes a photo of their building.
Yeah, yeah.
So be aware that if you're taking photographs and you're filming, they're going to complain to the police. The police will be there in a second, and we will deal with them. If anyone wants to join me, like yourself, Pat, and whoever else, or you can just watch me.
The road itself is a public place, so you're outside any breach of the law, as long as you're peaceful. As long as you're peaceful.
Yeah, and so we are not having a march.
It's 12 o'clock. It's 12 o'clock outside Ineos headquarters.
And it's so not important. A march.
It's so important that your voice is heard. So come, please, please.
Yep, everybody be there, and we're going to have a raffle. So if you want to donate to the raffle, you can. We're not going to be selling raffle tickets. We're going to have them for free.
It's a donation.
Because I know we've all put money into this, and if anyone wants to make a donation, you're welcome, but then the raffle tickets are free, okay? And you're just going to get something for nothing, because I think we should start changing something. This is just to make people feel good about themselves. You're going to get something for free, and if you want to contribute, for those who can, that's fine, but you're not asked to, okay? This is just your own goodwill, so just come and enjoy yourself.
Yeah,
okay.
Totally agree. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow.
Yeah, and I just want to say thanks for being on the show. And if you want to come back, you're welcome.
Right. Just before you go, if you'll indulge me, I have a poem.
Oh yes.
I have two poems. One from Charlie Macaulay Robertson, and one from the supreme socialist activist Donald Anderson. So
yes.
if you'll indulge me, I'd love to do this for them both.
Yes.
So Charlie has written a poem, Ravenscraig Fell Without a Fight. So I'm going to read straight from here. So my apologies for not on the camera.
It's supposed to be on you.
I can't see it. I'm on my telephone. Ravenscraig fell without a fight, and Grangemouth is stubborn, the same plight. We have no voice, we have no say, and Westminster always gets their way. Scotland is suffering from colonisation, thanks to those of a certain political persuasion. So you can fly your flag while theirs you burn, but we will always be outnumbered in every turn. So until that day we become united, Scotland will continue to be naught but blighted. So don't let this be just Grangemouth no more, while they rob our nation's oil from our shore. It's high time we evened up the score. Let's all tell Westminster they've taken no more. So come all ye Scots, time to get off your behind. It's time. It's Scotland's oil. Grangemouth is where it should be.
Yes.
Refined.
Yes.
And the next one is it's actually a song, I believe, by Donald, but it's to the tune of Red River Valley. I don't know it. I'll need to research it. So it's take it down from the mast, Scottish traitor. It's the flag we Republicans despise. It always belongs to class traitors. You've brought us nothing but shame. You stand for no hope in false glories. You've taken everything that is to go. Your hands are the same as the Tories, fulfilling the work of the foe. But we stand with Maclean and Republicans, with Conway and Irish Republicans too.
Yep.
We'll break down the English connection and bring back the nation from you. So leave to those who are willing to uphold the saltire in peace, the ones who intend to defend it until England's tyranny cease. Take the butcher's apron from your conference. It's the flag we Republicans despise. We won't stand for your shame and your deference, for we are a nation on the rise. Donald Anderson, Scottish
Wow.
Republic.
Powerful stuff. We've got some amazing poets, and thank you for reading those, because like Graham was on the show last week and he was literally saying, you know, we've got such amazing musicians, poets, artists, and like literally in many countries, like that's your force of people who literally become the activists and went out and painted graffiti things, and they made songs that made a difference. Poets spoke in rhyme, and I think we lost our language, okay, but well, we're trying to hold on to it, but for some time we lost it. And the power that Westminster uses is their English language, and I think this was very much a misuse of the word union. But our power is in rhyming, and it even goes down into England where you've got rhyming slang. But with poetry, there's a lot of power in the rhythm and the flow of things, you know, and that's how you break the brainwashing, is listening to songs and poetry about our history. And it actually weaves a kind of magic that lets you understand the situation more than somebody doing a speech or whatever. Stop watching TV, okay? Stop watching the BBC. Stop watching Anna Sanwa. He's always going to be doing some pish. Stop watching. I'm not going to say what I was going to say. Any of these bastards, okay? And just start listening, you know, go and learn about the Brian Sear. He literally was Scotland's like Sear, and he said Scotland will get its independence when the black rain falls off Aberdeen. Now, the reason why this has not come true yet is because maybe something's going to happen with Grangemouth, that there is a big and the rain falls, okay? And this is why Grangemouth must stay in our hands, because if it happens, Scotland must be in charge of Grangemouth. When that happens, that's when we're going to get our independence.
Absolutely.
So there's so much. Get out reading all the old poets. Learn about what was his name? Donald Anderson.
Donald Anderson.
And Charlie
Macaulay Robertson.
I've done some of his ones as songs. He's a great poet. And there's another one on Facebook called Pa Brun, and she's brilliant. Defiant people. And like, that's what we need to be. Moon howlers, huh?
And the Wee Glasgow Woman. Don't know if you've seen that. Look her up. The Wee Glasgow Woman. Powerful poet.
And there's a really good, you know, we need comedy as well. Like Graham and I were talking about this, you know, with the new radio station. We need comedy, not just like, oh, we used to have somebody years ago that told funny things, but now we don't have it anymore. Literally, there's a guy called Shawnee Boy, and he's on Twitter, and he makes the funniest things. He literally did a skit of them. He's all wearing wigs and he's playing different characters, but he's in the People's Parliament, and the MPs come back from recess, and they're like, who are you? What are you doing here? And he's like, oh no, we've taken over the People's Parliament. And they're like, but what about us? And he's like, no, the people shall govern. And lots of people are talking about this in different aspects, but they're all talking about it at the same time, but they don't know each other speaking about it. And I tell you, it's going to happen.
Excellent. I'm going to have to call it a night. I've got family in the weekend.
Yep.
So
I hope you have a nice time. We'll see you tomorrow.
It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you very much, Jem. And anybody interested in participating with Salvo, it's salvo.scot, and there's on liberation.scot, it's www.liberation.scot, salvo.scot on Facebook, and I believe it's the website as well. But let's see a good turnout at Grangemouth to show the workers there that we do care and we do feel for them, and we will do everything in our power to keep Grangemouth working.
That's really good. And I think it's like people get involved. You're sovereign Scots, you've got a power, lend your power together, and it's together we stand, okay? And together we are undefeatable force. So be there. If you can be there tomorrow, it will be on Independence Live. There'll be live streamers, but I would rather most people actually make the efforts. Don't tell me you're washing your dog or cutting your toenails. Get your ass out to Grangemouth. If I can get there and I can barely walk, you can get there too, okay? And we'll be in the tug of war. And Pet's going to be speaking. And yeah, we're going to have it again in a month. I think it's the 29th of March, so long as it doesn't conflict with anything, because I believe this one conflicted with the IFS.
Yeah.
That was just unfortunate, but it had to be done. Nobody was doing it, and it was like we decided this is it. It has to happen. So there are many independence organizations and groups involved. Okay, this is actually the independence movement coming together and saying we are going to do this. So yeah, it's going to be good. Just let me remind you, okay, there is no toilet hire. You're all sovereign Scots. I'm not your mother. Go to the toilet at the train station. If you need the toilet, go and make a plan, but don't tell me, oh, but there's no toilets, because I'm not your mother.
Well said.
Well
said, Jem.
Bring some sarnies, you know, bring some a flask of tea or coffee or soup, you know, bring your camping chair, whatever you want to do. Just don't do something that's going to piss the police off, because we don't need that.
Be there.
Okay, I'm going to play the outro now. I just want to thank everybody. Thank Independence Live. Independence Live is incredible. Like, I might be a volunteer there, but Kevin Gibney is an absolute superstar, and I don't think anyone realizes the stress that he goes through. He is the most remarkable man and the nicest person that I think I've ever met, really. And literally, where they do like 13 shows a week for like 13 years, and we need 13 bloody glasses of whiskey just to get our stress down. We should have a meeting on the 13th. Okay, Pat, you go over there and I'll see you tomorrow. Bring the poems with.
I shall. I have them prepared.
Are you going to be there a little bit early tomorrow?
Yes, I'm picking up John Mellon at 11 o'clock, so I'll be over about 1:30.
Awesome. So, yeah, if you just bump into me, because I need shirts. We need shirts.
Yeah.
We need shirts. I've got shirt jackets, and yeah, we're going to make sure it goes off peacefully.
We'll have our stewards from the crowd that is there.
Yeah, but we've got jackets and all stuff, and we need a first aider as well. But anyway, everybody's going to have fun, and it's going to be peaceful. So we'll see you there. I'm putting the outro on. Everybody go to sleep right now. Get up in the morning and get to Grangemouth.
Thank you very much. Good night.
Night. Okay, bye.
While the unicorn is chained to the lion with the crown, I will never rest. I will never back down. With the trusty sword of truth and the shield of integrity, I will fight until I die. All the unicorn is free. While the unicorn is chained to the lion with the crown, I will never rest. I will never back down. With the trusty sword of truth and the shield of integrity, I will fight until I die.